Mind and body connection is one of the most important aspects or thing you're supposed to know about yourself. And the moment you realize or you master the art of the mind and body connection, you will become a very powerful manifester. And not just that, you will start living a whole new kind of life that you've never experienced. So in this video, I'm going to dig deep about the mind and body connection, what you need to know about it, and how you can start practicing it for having a kind of effortless, peaceful kind of life, right? So let's begin. In case you have not subscribed yet, make sure you're hitting the subscription button because I'll be dropping great content just for you guys, okay? Now, before we begin, I want to let you in on the first or one of the most important laws of consciousness. And the law is that whatever we hold in mind tends to manifest. Let me repeat that. Whatever we hold in mind tends to manifest, okay? So the mind could also be called the realm, or the realm of the cause, because whatever we hold in our mind tends to manifest. To manifest means that it happens, it comes to be in our reality. So whatever we hold in the mind manifests in the third dimensional world or on the physical world. So the mind and body are connected because the mind is not something which you can touch. The mind is not something which you can actually see, right? So the mind is more like of intuition. It brings the messages to the brain. The brain acts as a receiver. The brain just receives messages from where? From the mind, right? So the mind is not something which you can touch. It exists on the higher planes or higher dimensions, okay? But the mind influences our reality to a greater extent. So there was a research that was done, okay? Now this research was more like of a placebo kind of research, whereby patients were told that if they were given a certain injection, they would have their menstrual periods like a week prior, right? So, and what happened is they were not actually injected with medicine that could do such. It's just that they were told, they were programmed to believe that the syringe or the injection they will receive will alter their menstrual cycle, hence they will menstruate like a week earlier. So what happened is that these ladies had that conception in their minds. They believed that this medicine could make them do what? Have their menstrual cycles prior to the days they're supposed to get. And because of that, their bodies started to react to what the mind was conceiving or accepting as being truth. Hence, these people managed to impregnate these ladies with the idea that this injection would delay their menstrual cycle, which it actually did, despite the medicine or the injection having nothing to do with that. So that is one proof that shows that the mind connects, or the mind controls the body, because whatever the mind conceives and accepts as being true, the body reacts to it. So on a higher spiritual level, on understanding this law is this: you have to know that the mind determines the kind of reality that you get to experience depending on what you hold in your mind, right? So whatever you hold in your mind becomes or manifests. So you might find that you are seated and you're feeling sad for no reason. So you're just there, you're feeling sad, or you're feeling certain emotions that you don't know the origins. So what happens here is that sometimes we have what we call conscious or unconscious thoughts. So unconscious thoughts, these are things that you normally think about or you believe, but you are not aware of them. And conscious thoughts or beliefs are things which you know to be true about the world and about yourself. So whenever you're feeling some kind of way, what has happened is that the body has already reacted to the mind, maybe through an unconscious belief. So in order for you to bring consciousness to your unconscious beliefs, you have to ask yourself these questions. So the first question you ask yourself is, who am I? Why am I feeling this way? Where am I? So these questions are not meant to be answered intellectually. They are more of kind of realization questions. So when you ask yourself who you are, who am I? The answer is quite simple. You are just an experiencer. So what are you experiencing? You are feeling some kind of emotion. Where does this emotion originate from? Why am I feeling this way? And this brings clarity. This brings awareness to the underlying unconscious things that you feel, because these underlying unconscious emotions and thoughts are what lead to the creation of whatever you experience, because they are held in your mind. And the reason why you react to these emotions without you knowing is because these are what we call repeated stimuli. So maybe you have an underlying unresolved emotion that you have. There is something that you never addressed. So you suppressed that thought or you suppressed that emotion. So when you have suppressed and repressed thoughts and emotions, they are underlined, they are not yet solved, they are not yet worked at. So it means that they will be coming up every now and then to be addressed, because they are things which you never addressed. So when you practice this kind of awareness of knowing your unconscious thoughts and beliefs, you are bringing the unknown into the known. And once you bring the unknown into the known, you have the power now to either choose or pick what you want to hold in your mind. Because whatever you hold in your mind, and to be more precisely, what is accepted by the subconscious part of the mind, comes to fruition. And that is how reality and mind are correlated. It's more like what we call the mirror principle, right? So the mirror principle talks about the inter or correlation between the higher and the lower, the outward and the inward, the mind and the body, the mind and reality, the cause and the effect. So these things work in unison. Okay, so whatever you hold in your mind, whatever is your state of consciousness or state of mind, is what you get to experience, because that's another law of the universe. Like attracts like. So if in your mind you hold images of fear, in your mind you hold images of guilt, anxiety, resentment, this is what gets to be manifested in the outside world. This is why you should be very careful of whatever it is that you allow to enter and become accepted as being truth. That is why I refrain from watching a lot of news. I like to minimize the amount of scrolling I do on social media. I like to be very careful as to what I am actually feeding my mind, because whatever you feed your mind in any form of stimuli will tend to be held in mind. And through the powers of concentration, you give that thought, you give that state energy, and that energy will be manifested, or will be manifested. You will experience whatever you hold in your mind most of the time, but with a delay. That's another thing you have to also understand. So the important takeaway from this video, you have to know or learn to understand your unconscious thoughts, unconscious beliefs, unconscious convictions. What is it that you believe to be true, either consciously or unconsciously? And if you find that you have beliefs that are not serving you, it is your job to challenge these beliefs. And the way you challenge them is through what we call the use of the D-self programming cycle. What is the D-self programming cycle? This is how it happens. So whenever something happens, let's say you lose something, what happens in the mind? You will think that, oh, I'm a loser. Why did I lose this thing? I'm not capable of handling this thing. So that thought instantly accompanies itself with an emotion, with a feeling. So when you lose something, you think to yourself, I'm undeserving. Then you feel undeserving, right? When you feel undeserving, what happens is that this stimuli gets sent out to the mind, and then the mind or the brain looks for other proofs of this thought and belief being true. So if the brain can find other evidences or other proofs of what you are saying to be true, then it becomes a belief. You believe that you are unworthy. Why? Because at a certain point you lost something, because this and this happened. That's why you believe you are unworthy. Okay, and the more proof it finds, now the belief stops to become a belief and it becomes a conviction. When it becomes a conviction, it becomes your own subjective truth, meaning that your life is governed by this subjective truth or conviction. If you truly believe that marrying a certain tribe is bad, and you have that conviction because of some proofs that you have, that conviction will tend to manifest in your life. And that is simply how our minds determine the kind of reality that we get to experience. That is why I'm telling you, if you have a belief that you don't really accept or you don't really want, you have now to do the opposite of that. And the opposite is you find evidences that are against that belief. So if you believe that you are lazy, you find evidences to counteract that belief. And the more evidences you find in reality, the more you start to reprogram the higher dimensions, and then you will come about to only have the beliefs that you really want to have in your life. And that is simply how you use the self, you master the mind and body connection. If you've enjoyed this video and if you'd like to view more videos from this channel, please make sure you're subscribing. And if you want to work with me one-on-one in our online coaching sessions, feel free to DM me the word interested in our email at the email is on the link on the description. And I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe, stay blessed, and stay awake.